Hello.
Hello.
Okay. How is everyone tonight?
I think we're all exhausted. It's been fantastic. Jessica got to go on a fun little, oh my gosh, like I could never Easter weekend day trip to Vegas.
Yeah. Left Thursday, came back Saturday.
And like Domrey's been battling a cold.
Yeah, I'm always battling a cold though.
She's battling colds and cars. Like
yeah,
that.
oh my god, yeah, that part. The car. Yes, yeah.
Oh my god, I don't even want to talk about that. That's
it's been
a whole
fun
nightmare that it's not
like,
over.
Yeah, like I think since the
and
last
then
time.
Sonia with her poor dog.
Oh my gosh, yeah, she's a fucking whore bag. Okay, like no. So like I have a dog. She's 13, and yesterday she was having like lots of like strokes and stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, she wasn't moving. She was like foaming. We're like, okay, like let's give her some soup, lots of love, like this. Today's the day, and then like okay, like we'll see how she is over the night. So we're watching her all night, and we're like, okay, in the morning, and then the morning came, and she's just like back to her. Hey guys, what's up? What's up? Like really, I was like, okay, like this is it. We're saying our goodbyes. We're gonna go in the morning, and she's like, nope, sorry.
Changed her mind. She tried it, didn't like it.
Yeah,
like
she's like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me. And
maybe someday, not right now.
Not today. Yeah, and by the end of the day, she no longer had a fever. She was able to like jump up and off the bed, the best of her abilities. She often needs help getting up, but she was able to jump out, go outside on her own. She's able to play in the snow. So fuck her.
Well, speaking of Vegas, I did get to perform one of my songs there, which was like super cool because I still get nervous singing my stuff in public. Yeah. But I just want to like put this out there to our listeners that by the time this episode is released, did release a song this month. And the stream money from that is going towards my friend's children. My friend Jeanette is basically dying to cancer. I don't know how to say that nicely.
Right, for that.
Right, like I don't know. Like I hate the whole losing the bat. I hate that though. It's like, oh, you're a loser. It's like, no, it's like your fault. Like the game was rigged. Like So but her kids are still teenagers. So basically I'm promising the stream money from that to them for like life. I've known them since they were toddlers. So I'll put the link to that song below. Just if you just stream it, and I'll also have the GoFundMe if you just want to donate directly if the song's not your jam.
Cool.
But it was a great weekend. We just arrived at 2 a.m. last night, so I'm still tired. But drink some beer.
So what are you drinking?
Beer.
Sonia, what are you drinking tonight?
Kyle actually just came in and gave me a coffee. I drank all my drink in the pre-drinks. It was an extra long pre-drink episode if you're part of our Patreon, because I found a house because I wanted to get a new house because I'm tired of my house because it's sinking. And I found a house was ridiculous. It was made illegally by somebody without very good building. Better than me, I think. They have better skills than I have, but still
under regulation.
So under. Way under. It's one of definitely a prepper. I love prepping. I love all that stuff, that whole lifestyle of like off grid, like not needing to like big company, like not rely on that,
but safely.
But that's safely, yes, yeah. But it was hilarious.
So if you want to hear that, you can join our Patreon at the $5 and up level.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah, nice.
I'm just having water.
Just water.
I'm taking cold meds, so like I can't have like.
I love how hopped up you're always on cold meds. It's my favorite thing about you.
Like every episode.
It's great.
Yeah,
me and cold meds. Like, by the way, I need some stock in Tylenol. I need to start investing.
Like it's just. Have you not built up an immunity yet to the cold med?
Oh my god, no, there's
He
so many
probably
viruses out there.
has.
Probably. No.
All meds don't work, and she has to keep taking them all the time. It's like that's her baseline now.
Yeah, that's her life. Like she can't function without the cold meds now. Like
Yeah.
it's
Even when
without
she
it-
doesn't have a cold, if she stops taking the cold meds, cold symptoms will appear.
Withdrawals. Start sneezing.
Okay, so what's this week's episode? Theme, genre?
this week, I stopped talking to my entire family.
Oh, shit. Oh, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So our podcast is very trans rights, human rights. So all three of us are like that. So I feel like it's okay to talk about it.
Do you want this to be the theme of the episode? Like discussing...
Sure, let's talk about... yeah, let's do that. Let's talk
like
about...
discussing progressive ideologies with family members.
Oh my
and
God.
like navigating those relationships. Yeah, we could make a whole episode about that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, I'm sure.
Okay, you start us off.
Okay, so my example is last week, it would probably be a week by now. My brother's girlfriend, Nicole, posted like a meme. She posts lots. I've commented on her stuff many times, like this is hateful misinformation. So she posted something along the lines that if you are trans now, when you're dead, people will be like, you're the archaeologists, anthropologists are only going to see man or woman bones. I was like, this is wrong. Like, and then, but before that, my kids saw it. So I was like, okay, you have just proven you are unsafe and you are not allowed near my kids. That is, my kids are transitioning or gender fluid or non-binary.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, you have proven now. And then my sibling defended her. So just my sister, Natalie. I'm pretty sure Terry didn't want anything to do with that conversation, but you are supporting a partner who is like that. So that tells me you're the same. And then my niece's partner, Chris, was saying the same thing. And then, so at this point, I've already blocked and deleted everybody. I'm like, no, don't have access to my kids on social media. Like, I'm always posting about them. So I'm like, no, you don't have access. And Kyle is giving them information. And they're like, no, that's your opinion. That's your opinion. Like, there's a difference between opinion and fact. And then
yeah, what they're saying is opinion. What you guys
yes.
were proving was fact.
No, not even. What they're saying is hate speech. It's not opinion. You don't get to have an opinion about someone else's body and someone else's human rights. That is hate speech.
Yes, exactly.
So,
like there's a difference. There's a difference. And like, and part of it, like, oh, if you look at bones, but like anthropologists, okay, this is their profession. They need peer review. Like they can't be like, that's a man, that's when people are getting their like information about bone identity from like CSI and like Bones, where she's like, this is a 26-year-old female and it's a fucking foot. Okay. Like that.
And so much of that is wrong. Like so many studies based around bones, like think craniology or whatever it was. Remember the racist scientists of skull shape determining your learning capacities, how smart you were, because obviously different races might have slightly different skull shapes based on features. And they were like, obviously these ones mean you're always gonna be an idiot. It's weird that it always is black people. I mean, we're just measuring their skulls, you know, like, and so it's like, yeah, okay, if you're basing all your science on like someone looking at bones and being like, yes, this is male or this is female, and that's what you consider factual, then you obviously never read a peer-reviewed article ever in your life, like a scientific anything.
Right. And Kyle was like, so I was like, oh my God, Kyle, like your IQ is dropping right now talking to these people. And we got to the point where it's like where Nicole was like, I don't care. I'm tired of feeling guilty. This is my opinion. If you don't like it, too bad. But it's ridiculous that you think I'm not safe around your kids. Like, I'm not saying you're going to fucking stab them. You are emotionally dangerous to my kids. Like
And you're
That's
politically dangerous to my kids. Like, you
Yeah.
might not stab them, but if you're voting for things that will take away their human rights, well, that's pretty much the same thing, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, you're down the stairs, right? It's ridiculous. And then Alyssa's, my niece Alyssa, she's been on here, and I just feel so bad for her. Her partner is such a piece of shit already, and this just put fucking nail in it. Like, she's raising those kids by herself. Like, he's such a dirtbag. So he's like, oh, since she's unsafe for your kids, that means you're not safe for mine. So, like, right? I was like, okay, that's so weird logic. And he's like, you can't come around my kids. I was like, okay, like that's it is what it is. Whatever. Like, my kids come first, and it's unfortunate that's the end result. If you're, well, like, he can't come around my kids anyway. So the thing.
But now we know the environment his kids are growing up in. If any of them are gender fluid or trans or just anywhere on that spectrum, he is not a safe person for them to come out to. And they aren't going to have access to the safe person that they could have come out to.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And it's just, it is what it is. But like, it's like so Alyssa's mom is black, dad is white. So her children are a mix also of black and white. So like, I don't like, people are racist. So you're saying people should just be allowed to make their opinion. So if people hate, like you're okay with that. Like, I just feel like his brain is so messed up. He's not sure. He's very young, like not educated very well. Like it's but like you learn. A lot of people do get their ideals from their parents, and then if they are able to break from that cycle, it's when they're older, like our age, and they've lived the world a little bit, so they can see it. I know being young isn't really like you're ignorant, but I like to hope somebody 24 and younger, it's not really their fault. But like if you're like 25 and you still have these views after you've like experienced the world, then you're problematic.
But it's also like the sign of intelligence, right? It's like dumb people will argue their dumbness is correct. It doesn't matter what evidence you put in front of them. They will not change their mind. Excuse me, I'm burping. Versus someone that at least has some sort of intelligence, someone that maybe is working off the backs of logic, which these people are not. If you provide different information, like more factual information, then they will change their mind. That shows you're smart. Like you learn new information, then you're like, okay, that's cool.
Yes, it's your ability to process information is your intelligence. Like that's sure, you can know everything there is about a car engine and how to fix it and stuff, but if like you're given other information and you can't move past that, you're like, no, that's not it, then your intelligence is limited, right? Like we're always learning. Like if you're obsessed with the sciences, you're always learning new things. Yes, science is wrong, but then you learn new information and you fix it. Like that's the whole point of it. Like, and then people like, oh, they were wrong. How am I supposed to believe them now?
That's what science is. You believe the most factual information you have at that point. But if you get new information, you update your theories.
Like medicine itself is a science, and that adapted within the years. Like, it's rapidly changing.
Like, how many times do medications come out and they're like, oh, wait, it's not good for these type of people or this type of people. It's like, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm never taking medication again.
So many people do, though.
I know. Vaccines nowadays, because, people, I personally, my theory is socially, people are so, we're so controlled by our ability, like having to live nowadays with the high rate of corporations stealing from us, that we're lost all sense of control, that like people, the only sense of the control they have really is their own bodies. So they're like, oh, it's like people with anorexia tend to have hyper control issues. The only thing they can control is their body, so they control what goes into it. And I feel like anti-vaxxers Same thing.
Yeah, it is. That is though. Like I agree with that theory also. Yeah. Like it's a mental disorder now. Like people have no control over so much that this is where they're putting their heels in. They're like, I'm just not going to vaccinate my kids. I'm vaccinated, so it's fine. But I'm just going to make sure my kids don't go through that.
And it goes along with the conspiracy theories too. It's like so many of these conspiracy theorists won't really explain details to you. They go, "Oh, you have to look it up, research, right?" And because part of that is they liked feeling special, like I know something you don't know, and that gives them some sense of control too. It's just annoying. I hate the world. I hate how dumb we've gotten.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I forget the study, but I was reading it, and as a whole, our IQs are dropping. Mm-hmm. Like idiocracy, that's happening to us for realsies.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
Yeah, I was like, okay, and like the sad thing is, there's nothing you can do about it. Like it is what it is. You just laugh. And like I actually I sound like a conspiracy because like I'm so tired of trying to educate people on something and they're like, no, you're wrong. I'm like, okay, go do research then. Like that's it now. I'm like, okay, go figure it out.
I always give them one link. That's always my minimum. I did my job. I give you one link. That will open you up to other links because every study is based on other studies. Every study is written by multiple authors that have written other studies. You can click the hyperlinks throughout to read other studies surrounding that topic. So I give you one link to a study. That is it. And you can do your own research from there. And if you don't, well, you don't. My favorite is half the time they'll link me a study that they only read the headline of. And the headline, like, is, questionable. But then when you read the study, it proves that I was right.
Yeah.
That's always my favorite. I'll highlight. Like that happens too often. That
You're like, okay, maybe you misread that. Like, because I think that also happens too. Like reading comprehension isn't very strong. Again, that's because the world is broken and there's not enough funding or anything going to education anymore. It's like we'll just push you along.
Yeah, whatever. I think like the average reading age in like the States is like a grade 6, and so if you're writing for like newspapers, half the time they say like don't write higher than a grade 6 level.
Yeah, don't use big words, don't use jargon. Just stick to the basics. And it's understandable. Although like sometimes people, it's not their fault that they're reading levels of that, and I think it's especially for government documents, they should always be at like a grade 5 reading level. Never use jargon, never use too much expressive words, like just basic black and white language. Like that's any government document, anything on a city website, it should all be basic. And it's not. It's way. And then these people are trying to get their information. Yeah. Exactly, because these people are getting information from their like little hate ads that only run 30 seconds.
the memes with minions.
And it's sad. And like the information they think they're getting is absolutely true. An example is the carbon tax right now.
Oh my God.
That's like such a big one right now where like the misinformation, you're trying to tell people, no, that's not the case. And they're like, yeah, I'm not buying any gas. It's definitely like, this sounds like a thing the gas companies will make you do. Fill up on this day, stock up on gas, guys. Just stock up. And then, because
that's the day they'll raise it really, really high. And then they won't do it.
Like, there's like, don't buy groceries, don't do anything. Like, dude, you bought everything already. So what are you talking about?
Yeah,
you've already given them your money. Like, make it make sense.
Well, this also happened with the Toronto rainfall tax. Did you guys hear about that one?
No.
Okay. So, the Toronto rainfall tax that was going around, and people are like, "Oh my God, you're gonna have to pay every time it rains." No, it's like a small, minuscule amount to people that own land. Like think like suburban households in Toronto that are a certain age or whatever due to like infrastructure costs around every time it rains. And it's such a minute amount. But if you're renting, if you're in a condo, if you're in an apartment, if you're in a, you don't pay this tax. This doesn't exist to you. But people are like, everyone in Toronto is paying for rain now.
Yeah, no, it's just part of like your taxes. Although when you're paying rent, it should be going to land taxes, but it's if you live in society like we have, taxes pay for services. Well, it's supposed to. And it's usually the mayor of that town that is raising your property taxes. It's not Justin Trudeau or Doug Ford. It is your town raising your taxes.
Municipal.
Yeah.
It's because, okay, so I don't think other people to also realize there's different levels of government. Like, not everything is the federal government. Like,
they all blame Trudeau for like healthcare and shit.
A lot of our problems are provincial. The province owns like most of our like issues, unless it's federal, like the military, which is a federal thing, or fuck, I can't think. But anyway,
yeah, I got the Goldman.
Healthcare is provincial. Education, provincial. Like these things, like our most biggest problems are a provincial problem. Therefore, look at your provincial government. What's that? Conservative. Like,
yeah,
it's not Trudeau.
But that's it. Like that, people aren't getting their information only from memes, right? They're not looking into further. So that's unfortunate. Like any information, it's all the hate people. And they're so loud about it. And there's nothing you can do except for block them. Like
it's because it's a popular choice now. Like the whole F Trudeau, it's like became a slogan, and people love jumping on popular trends, and they made it a fucking trend.
Yeah, they want to be part of something.
Trudeau is not the greatest.
They need community. That's what it
there.
is. Yeah. Capitalism has separated us from the means of production so far that we are now, we're so freaking lonely that we need community somewhere. And church used to provide that. But with, religious rates going down and everything like that, people don't have community. It's like the most community you have is throughout school and then college. And then after that, like
work.
Work
is like dragging you. Like, you're like, no, I don't want it.
Yeah. So it's like, you don't have any community anymore, that the minute you're like part of something secret and special, becomes addicting. I get it. I never blame individuals for the problems, like their level of reading or comprehension. Like when I look at all these conspiracy theorists, it's a totally systemic problem. Yeah. Like, you as an individual, I might put boundaries, but I don't blame you for turning out that way. Right. Your country should have done better.
Yes. Yeah. Your education should have done better. But at the same time, at this point, a lot of people also don't care. I gotta throw my family under the bus again. There's been lots of times, like, they smoke in the house with their kids. And lots of times I'm like, you are causing damage. First of all, it's illegal. Child Protective Services could be called. But I'm like, this is bad. This is bad for your kids. You're causing them lots of health problems. And it's always like, no, I'm not. But yeah, you are. You have your education. There's studies.
Yeah,
it's written on your cigarette packs. It's the law.
It's not new. Like, you can't smoke anywhere. Like,
I know. I'm always sick. Like, what does that tell you? Like, I have so many health problems, and it's from growing up in a chain smoking home. And they're like, no, it's fine. That's not going to happen to my kids. Sure. Okay. Whatever. So it's at the point where they don't care. Like, people don't care. Like, the information's there and it has nothing, there's comprehension, and then there's just I don't care. Just.
I feel like my biggest issue, especially with maybe older people, is even if they can't maybe comprehend something or whatever, if I'm telling them I'm not going to follow their advice, they get offended.
Yeah, like, you're not following my cult? What?
Like, I remember when I had my first child, me and my mom hadn't talked for a few years, but we got back in contact while I was pregnant, and I was like, oh wow, we're gonna have a relationship again. And I remember, like, in the beginning I was breastfeeding, and she was like, oh, make sure to give him some water and stuff. Now, if you don't have kids and you don't know this, that's totally fine. But using water on infants was mainly for those that were drinking formula. But if you're breastfeeding, because breast milk doesn't have as much fat as formula, it can actually cause babies to like die from like water poisoning and stuff. So don't feed breastfed babies under the age of 6 months water. But I knew that because I researched the current science, and I told her that, and she was like, but I had 3 babies. Yeah. And I'm like, okay. Like, yeah, cool, we didn't die, thank God. Like, don't. That doesn't mean you're like,
right? And that's like back in the day, like we were growing up, you were putting baby cereal in nighttime bottles.
Yes.
Right? So like that information, again, new information came along that's bad for your baby. They can choke and die. Like that's
side sleeping used to be recommended, and same with belly sleeping, but now it's, you know, back to sleep is the motto for that age, you know. So it's like it science changes based on studies that are happening all the time. So
there's so much advice I didn't listen to though, like don't eat sushi, don't have processed meat. That's like a don't eat cheese. I feel like that's very cultural too. Like they're babies in
don't take Tylenol now. That's another one.
Like I feel like that's way too. There's like too much control happening, where people, the advice that's needed to take seriously isn't, because they're like, well, you're telling me all these things, like I have the right to do what I want, because I think it needs to calm down a little.
I think what needs to happen is people need to understand like what advice are recommendations and what advice are like scientific, like this can happen. So we know like smoking cigarettes, this can happen to your baby. This has a high rate amongst babies born to smokers that this will happen, versus like eating raw fish can cause stomach upset. And, you know, if you're early on in your pregnancy, that might be dangerous, especially if you're high risk, especially if you're, so it's like, that's more like based on your own personal history, you might want to be aware of this, versus like, no, it doesn't matter your personal history. This will cause, like, this has a high chance of causing this. Like, I feel like the science versus recommendations needs to be,
but like doctors aren't knowing that too, which is the issue. They're like, no sushi, no bologna, no, like, but like that's just a recommendation, and like it's like it.
Okay. I just I went to a young mom support group when I was pregnant. It was all moms under 21 or pregnant moms in high school. Okay, and it was like Tuesdays and Thursdays at the early years center, and I went there, and there was this one woman who was a smoker, smoked weed, everything, while she was pregnant, and she was like, oh, the doctor said if I quit cold turkey, it'll be a risk to the baby. And in my head I'm like, isn't smoking right now a risk to a baby? Like, I hate to be that guy. And if our listeners find this too harsh, I apologize. But I don't believe fetuses are people yet. So it's like, do you want to you're bringing in a person. They're not a person yet, but you're bringing in one. Do you want to bring a person that has chronic health conditions because you smoked through the entire pregnancy? Or do you want to possibly maybe spontaneously abort that baby because you decided to quit smoking, and then you have a clean uterus and you can try again to bring in a healthy person?
Yeah. And like you can try for your pregnant. Like
Also, like, cells, because, like, in the beginning, it's just cells. Your cells are not going to have withdrawals, okay? Like,
it's an embryo, it's a zygote, then it's a fetus. Like, it goes through stages before it's a person, okay?
That's what I mean. I'm like, I hate when they're like, only like 6 weeks. I can't quit smoking yet, or I can't quit drinking because, like, and I'm just like, what? It's cells right now. Do it now, and then when it's a person.
If your zygote can't handle cigarette withdrawals, then why do you want to give birth to a weak ass baby bitch?
Like, why are you a little bitch? Like, come on now.
Come on. It needs to man up, you know? Come on.
Get some balls. Like,
put it through its first test. You know?
Yeah.
Make it fight. Make it show it deserves.
Send your baby to war.
You're God in this situation.
Like back in the day, they put babies
natural
on
selection,
like a side of a mountain. Okay, this is like that. You are a Viking. Like, go for it.
Just quit the cigarette. You know. And I say this as someone like I had a little bit of a coke problem near the end of my high school, and I did get pregnant and found out I was like I was high, saw a positive pregnancy strip. Fucking quit, like just cold turkey. And I was like, I couldn't tell what was morning sickness, what was withdrawals. I had no idea. And like, yeah, my kid has issues, and parts of me is like, oh well, maybe when I was 3 weeks pregnant, like my last time, maybe that got him. But you know, at least I did my best. It's better than doing drugs throughout the entire thing. You know?
Oh my gosh, that I drank before I found out I was pregnant with Kara. I must have been already 6 weeks at that time. I didn't find out till I was like 3 months. And I drank like half a bottle of Jamaican rum in one sitting. And now she has a lot of issues, and I'm worried that's my fault. Like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I fucking stopped. But like every day I'm like, is that my fault? Like, did I give my kid fetal alcohol syndrome because like she's not functioning like the rest of her peers? And I'm like, oh my God, like I have to like push it to the back of my brain, or I will feel like the most shittiest
Let me
person.
put you at ease, because with Nicholas, I got drunk in Toronto with Dave while I was pregnant with him. I was only like maybe a couple of months, and then I went to a fair and I was on roller coasters and shit. So I really scrambled that shit up. Nicholas is like gonna be going to college. Caleb, I did everything by the fucking book. I'm saying I didn't eat fucking meats, those cured cheeses. I didn't take Tylenol. I didn't do shit. I was so on it. It was the worst pregnancy I've had. And he's a nonverbal. Like,
autism isn't caused by.
But it's like you never know. It's like you want to prevent as much as you can. Like, obviously, things like drinking and stuff we know can cause issues. So it's like, stop it the moment you know. Like, that's you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and like, it's the same with me. Like, my daughter was planned. We had a midwife and shit. She ended up being over 10 pounds. I had to get like an OBGYN anyway during the labor to like get her out because she got stuck. She's autistic, like more so than my son. Like, my son has epilepsy, but it doesn't affect his day to day as much as her autism affects her day to day. And it's just like, and I was doing like the drug I was mentioning earlier was cocaine. So like, you know, so that was a little bit more with her, you know. I was like planned. So I was like, I'm gonna not.
We learn. We live and we learn. Our first ones, our practice kids, we learn.
The first batch of I can't talk. It's the first batch of the pancakes. They're the throwaways, whatever. Like,
well, okay. Also, we were teenagers, so
yes, yeah.
You know.
Oh my God. Because I was 16, and for the longest time I had no idea what happens to the placenta after. And then I was like, okay, like maybe it like dissolves or whatever. I don't know. And then I went to like a birthing class because like clearly I needed it. And you're supposed to like push it out. I was like, oh shit, son, I didn't know that. Like, I'd be like, what do you mean? Like, I'm glad I went to the class because I would have been like, they already had doubts about me being a parent being so young. And if I'm like, are you sure I'm supposed to keep pushing? The baby's already out. Like, so I'm glad I got some education.
I took family class in high school the year I was like the semester I was pregnant, and I had to do the plastic baby test, and I had it for a weekend, had to bring it to my ultrasound appointment. So here I had to ask, I'd be like, will the magnet bracelet be a problem in the ultrasound room? They're like, no, that's fine. So I'm bringing in my plastic baby. I was like, oh no. Yeah, so now I have no shame. You can't embarrass me. I've been embarrassed enough.
Oh yeah. You go through, you're like, oh my God, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, but you learn. That's what's important, right? You're like, oh shit, I'm kind of dumb on this. So you learn.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to realize what your weaknesses are and be like, oh shit, I need to learn. Like it wouldn't really bother me so much that people being transgender, like they have these opinions and they know nothing about it. Nothing. Like if you could just be like, that's fucking disgusting. I think you're like, I've read it all and I don't agree with it. Like, this is what I feel like, but like not knowing anything.
They're just so confident to have an opinion about, like, this would be like me picking a sports team and be like, they're the best. Like, I know nothing. Like, why would I?
Yeah. And like, that's what I was like, okay, like, I would still not appreciate your opinion on the matter about it, but at least you like did research. Bones can't be looked at that way. That it's since the beginning of time there have been different types of people, but you're still like, no. Now I believe since we've gone so far, we've progressed so far, there should only be men and women. Like if that was your belief now after you got all this education, I could maybe understand why. But not having any information and just being so like, And
it's completely okay. First off, I just want to say I love that we're recording. I know this episode is being released a few weeks after recording, but I love that we're recording this episode on Trans Visibility Day.
Yes.
So yes. But I just want to say, like, and any belief, like, it would be impossible to read everything and still have the belief that there's only men and women, because about 1 to 2% of the population that we know of, based on the current stats we have, I personally believe it's higher because you don't know if someone's intersex unless you blood test them, and we're not blood testing everyone. But 2% of the population is intersex, which doesn't sound like a lot, but then you do 2% of 8 billion people. It's a lot of fucking people.
Yes, quite a few.
And that's the biological aspect of it. Like, just based on, like, that's not the hormonal aspect. That's not the neurological aspect, the emotion, psychological. Like, that's nothing. That's literally just like your fucking chromosomes and sex organs. Like, that's it.
Bare minimum.
Like, and that's 2% of the population. Like, that's a fucking lot. And you have no idea if you're considered part of that population until you get tested for it. Like, a lot of people have internal gonads they don't know about. Like, like I have one friend who didn't know she wasn't born with a uterus and ovaries until she was a teenager and never had a period. And then you're like 16, 17, they take you to the doctor and the doctor does an ultrasound and can't find certain organs. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, shit, son.
Well, okay. Well, I guess we better get you on estrogen, the hormone replacement therapy that trans people use.
Yes.
Yeah. But you're a cis woman. You just don't happen to have cis woman parts.
Not your fault.
Outwardly. Yeah. It's just like, fucking, you don't know what's happening. Like,
speaking of days coming up, like Autism Day, Autism Month, April, stuff like that, and neurodivergent people have a higher chance of being transgender because they don't conform to social constructs. Yes. So these two things kind of go together, and it's really important to know that. Well, that's gender, and gender identity is a social construct, and we push way too much shit on that. Fucking neurotypicals ruling the world. So, like, again, there's lots of, if you're celebrating ASD folks and neurodivergent people, you should be aware that it is very common for them to be gender fluid or non-binary like that, because they have no idea.
Yeah, and a lot of transphobes get confused between like sex and gender, because it's like they'll look at a man with painted nails and makeup wearing high heels and be like, "Oh, that's not normal." Yet, did you not like view the founding fathers? Like they wore makeup, wigs, and high heels and tights. But back then, that's what a man was. My favorite is when people look at men and be like, where'd the men go? And then we look at like photos from the 80s where men are in crop tops and short shorts. And it's like, those are considered.
Oh my God, give me the crop tops and low pants any day. Yes, please. Like,
every male vampire, like
the frills,
frills or long gowns, and like they're dressing so fruity.
Prince used to dress like that, and he was like,
yeah, but look at shit like Alex Cooper and stuff. Alice Cooper, who like literally made it. The singer from Twisted Sister even made entire like glam rock, made their entire music identity dressing up with female hair, female like makeup at the time, and now they're transphobes.
But the way you look has nothing to do with your gender and how you feel. Like, there's men who like to dress in more feminine attire, who are cis, who are like, I'm a man, like, but I enjoy frilly things. Like,
there's
it has nothing to
drag queens, guys.
Yes, it has nothing to. You don't have to be a drag queen to like frilly.
No. But I'm just saying, like it's all sex, sexuality, and gender identity are all, and gender expression.
Completely different
all
things.
Different things.
Yeah.
Flowy. Loosey.
I do actually have a coming out story. When I was around 16, I was living at my grandparents' house. And we were all watching, like I used to hang out in the living room with them and watch TV, and they were watching Amazing Race. I think maybe Amazing Race Canada. And there was this like 60-year-old female couple that were married. So that's why I think it's Canadian. But I don't even know if gay marriage was legalized in the States yet. But it was they ended up not making that race and then losing. And so they like give a kiss and like walk away. And my grandmother went, ew. And I remember looking back at her and being like, why are you grossed out? She's like, well, I don't want to see it on TV. I'm like, straight couples make out. She's like, I'm like, that's a little homophobic. She's like, I'm not gay. I'm not homophobic. My brother's gay. I'm like, you just said two women kissing is gross. Like, do I have to explain this to you? And then I ended up being like, well, I'm gay, and while running downstairs. And then she called my mom. But yeah, like it's like they will say bigotry, like hateful things and not recognize it as hateful.
Yeah, like they're just like, oh, like, and then they don't care. Like,
yeah, they don't care when you call them on
them. Yeah, they're like, no, that's not what I didn't mean it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, then,
like you said, ew. Like, what other way was there to take it? Yeah.
So, you know what? I hate when people kiss in public. Like, that's like,
but that's people. That's like,
it doesn't matter what you're doing. Yeah. So, like, I'm in line at like Dollarama, and if you're like going to third base, well, like waiting in line, like I don't want. It's ew. I don't care.
I would agree with third base. Is that undershirt over bra? Where is third base?
Oh no. Okay, maybe we'll say like second base, because like third base like blowjobs. So like that they're not doing blowjobs at the dollar store, but like they're like real grindy against each other, gropey, making out. Like,
okay, this kiss was a peck. I just want to put that like old ladies, like they were older women, and they just were like, bye, like it was like they weren't, it wasn't Hot or Nothing or whatever that Hot or Not, whatever that reality show is. It wasn't anything like that,
Oh, I do love the the generations now in those reality shows where like same-sex couples are going at it all the time. I love that we've progressed in the last 15 years where people do that. That's great. Like, that's more acceptable. But you still have grandmas going, ew. Like,
make those grandmas go, ooh.
Yeah,
like,
that's
what you should do. Yeah.
That's what you deserve. If it's okay, if you don't have a problem with straight people, you shouldn't have a problem with gay people. But like, if it's all people, then I feel like that's okay. But if it's just if it's just gay people,
did you see Kristen Stewart's photo shoot? Her big gay photo shoot in the jock straps and stuff?
No.
Nope.
And I'm gonna have to. Like,
oh my gosh. Okay. You know what? Hold on.
We're gonna screen share. This is YouTube exclusive.
Exclusive, but you can hear our commentary.
You can hear us panting, but she has a new movie coming out with this other actress who, like, she totally bulked the fuck up for her role. I was like, there's no way she was that. But I think she was like, I think she was like a little bit. She's been in like some movies before where she's like a good like army person, and she's a little bit. But then for this movie, she bulked up so hard, like, because she's like,
they probably like defined her muscles too. And
yes,
stuff. Like,
I'm like, oh my god, good for you, queen. And like, I was like, oh, she like the dedication was, because it takes women so much longer and harder to build muscles than men. I was like, the kind of work she must have had to do to get that defined
from
muscle
morning till night, just like constantly, and then like
that
would probably be like insane.
Okay, I can't show the full photo shoot, but I will just show the cover. Okay. I will just show the cover. But that's the cover. And she's in a sports locker the entire time. And so there's a few like other ones here, and she's in a jock strap. But I'm trying to find the ones with the spit, because she's spitting in another girl's mouth.
Her hand is down her pants, and then she did like a finger lick. Like that's pretty cool. That's pretty risque.
Yeah. So it's I like this one. You know, so it's pretty gay. And I kind of
pretty gay. I like it.
I kind of love it, you know? Like, good for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm appreciating the change and how angry men are getting about it.
Yeah, I love angry men. Not when they're out when they're like at me, like out in public, not a big fan, but like when they get so angry at little things like that, like how fragile are you?
Post about it on the internet, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Because like,
I love upsetting men.
I know, I'm like in my feminine rage era, and I love that more and more women also are, and I'm not alone. It's that sense of community. I'm like, yes. I don't feel crazy, because like for the longest time I like have like these high standards on how men should be, and women are like, no, like that's just how they are. Boys will be boys. And like I love now, it's not really women my age that are really doing it. It's the younger generations, which is amazing. Yeah. I'm so happy for them that they are breaking the cycle of
they're not putting up with shit. They're done.
like docile women. Like it.
This kind of does go back to like, you know, are you arguing with your family and how spouses were stepping in to like defend and stuff like that? I feel like me personally, my views about people's rights and everything like that, my integrity comes first. That like, yes, if my husband ever said anything that was like really against my values, I would leave him. Like it wouldn't be a question for me. I might hurt. It might suck for the kids. It might suck financially, but I could not be with someone who doesn't agree with me on these fundamental things. And I feel like so many, especially like our age and older, but some younger people too, they find themselves in relationships they can't see leaving, or they've been in a relationship for so long, or they have kids that they like are like, I cannot leave this person over something as silly as politics. No, and it's like, it's not politics, it's human rights. Like there's a difference.
There needs to be like that needs to be completely separated. Like you could have a different opinion in politics, but human rights is not something that you should be separate on. Like, have the same things. Like, if
politics is a tool.
Yeah.
Human rights is a value.
Yeah.
So you can use politics to get as a tool to hopefully legalize gay marriage and allow for transition surgery to be covered under healthcare, and like these are things politics can allow you to do as a tool. But your values as who deserves human rights, like that is there regardless of who's in power, regardless of And it just frustrates me that people feel either stuck or they don't have enough integrity to leave that situation.
Yes. Like if Kyle, like I was like, Kyle, don't bother. Like it's nothing. He's like, no, I have to. But if he was like, you're overreacting, that would be it. I'd be like, okay, bye, bitch. Go move with your mom. Like that. We've been together for 20 years and it would be something like that. That would be like, no, but he's not. Like he's a good person. So I like, and it was just like, oh, like, yeah, I don't understand how people could be with people like that. And like, he was like trying to hug me and stuff. Like he thought I was like so sad. I was like, no, it's fine. Like this was just the end of that. Cause there's been so many times where my family has treated me bad. And like, I was like, okay, like I'll be sad that I can never see them again, or well, I can, but I don't want to. And, but I was like, wait a second, how many holidays have they like not like done without me? All these other things that they do without me, like they purposely exclude me for like things. So I'm like, wait a second, like I'm sure, and I always justify it. Well, they love me. And I'm like, no, I'm kind of like in an abusive relationship with my siblings.
I feel like you make them feel bad because you have to make them question their own like beliefs on humanity. And so they're like, I don't want this person that's questioning my beliefs around. Like that's what it is, Yeah. It's like maybe they're right, but I don't want to know that. Like I don't want to feel like I'm wrong. So
yeah, because like I'm not always the person that brings it up. They'll bring something up, but like, no, like that's wrong. Like your information is wrong. And then like they would start it. I'm just like, okay, fine. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, maybe I still don't feel bad. Like it's been a week now. I have 0 misses. And then like, I wish my brother a happy birthday. Fucking, he's like, no, like that's so like, whatever, that's it. Like I was like, okay, I was like, okay, you guys don't have access to my kids on social media and you can't come to my house. But like they took that as no, never talking to you again. It is what it is. Like that's okay. Like my kids come first. Like I would fucking set the world on fire. Like if they killed somebody, I would help them hide the body. Like my devotion to my children.
Okay, I believe in consequences. Like I'd be like, okay, why did you kill them?
Yeah, well,
like I'd have limits.
Yes, if they're rightfully, I'm burying the body with them.
Oh yeah,
like, that's a little question.
I feel like my kids are decent enough that if they had to kill somebody, it'd be for a good reason. That's not like my kids are gonna be serial killers, and I'll be like, it was for a good reason.
The only we've had periods where we stopped talking to our in-laws for a bit, due to like arguments that usually started over politics that again they brought up first. But it was like the one thing is they've kind of changed their tune over the years. And I kind of like they won't ever admit that I was right, but they agree with me on more things now. So I'm like, okay, you know,
you were right.
I'm seeing growth. But as long as you're like having some sort of like, as long as you're coming in good faith, then I'm like, okay, versus if you're just if you're stuck in your ways, like it is not my emotional job to like teach you. Again, you get one link. That's
right.
it.
One link, one movie. Like that's, but like, yeah. So progress is progress, right? Like for the longest time educating my in-laws about things, and they're like, okay. Every time they're like, oh no, it's this. I'm like, no. And they're like, okay. Kyle, the game with Kyle, like they'll say something. Kyle's like, no, it's this. And they're like, okay. It's been slow. It's been like a lot of back and forth because this is their strong beliefs, even after with information, it's their beliefs. But like, it's just like, oh, my grandkids are like this. All of a sudden, it's changed. It's shifted. They're like, the people I love.
That's usually how it is.
Right?
Yeah. A lot of people are pro-life till they need an abortion. You know?
That's right. Yeah. So it's great. Like, they just couldn't understand because no one in their life is experiencing this at the moment. But then it's people they love and they are learning and accepting. And that's what's important. Like, it's slow, but it's going. Like, that's the important part. But as for my siblings, it was like, no.
Yeah, like, I can't wait till the day that I'm so old that my children are coming to me with new information.
Yeah.
Like,
right?
that's the goal. Like, the goal is to be the dumber one. Like,
yeah.
and then you take in the new information given to you and you're like, oh, okay. Like, it's when you refuse and you're like, well, back in my day, it's like, yeah, but it's not your day anymore.
I hate that phrase so much. Back in my day. I hate that.
Yeah. But your day wasn't that great.
Yeah. Oh, you have those people that are like, oh, in the 80s when my parents did this, this, and this. And I always want to be like, so your parents abused you is what you're going with, right? Like, that's what you're announcing right now.
I'm so sorry you have trauma.
Yeah. Like the hitting your kids part, right? Like, my parents hit me all the time.
Like, our parents didn't let us in the house unless, like, to get a drink, and we had to drink out of the hose. I'm like, so your parents abused you. Like, they didn't care about your well-being.
Yeah, they denied you access to
clean water.
Yeah.
Like, back in the 80s, they also had commercials like, well, it's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Have you hugged your kid today? Like, yeah. Okay, I'm glad you're alive. That's the goal. Again, therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but our generation has put something important in your back seat to remember your kids.
So we have that.
It's the same thing. We do have, like, everyone's not perfect, but everyone needs reminders. But you learn. That's what's important. If you're not learning, and then there's issues, and it's okay to ghost people. As Trans Visualization Day, that's not the right word. It's not visibility.
Trans people, show your titties. It's Trans Visibility Day.
Yeah, oh my God. It's okay to cut family off. If there is people at risk of your well-being, but like, it's always for many generations, like, you only get one family. No. I just got adopted by a woman and she's 70 and I'm like almost 40. You could always get new family. Whatever's better for you.
Family, and I'm living my best life. What the
hell? Blood of the covenant is thicker than water of the womb.
Sprinkle, exactly. Sprinkle.
Okay, I think that pretty much, So cut off your family if it's bad for your emotional health. I think that's or
your children. And your children always come first.
Your children should always come first. Yes.
Yeah. Like, if their aunts, uncles, grandmas, whatever, are bad for their mental health, cut them off. Trans children are at a higher risk of suicide if their family is not supportive. If you are a transitioning child or a confused child, your ability to stay alive and a little bit happier, the world's a shitty place already. If your family supports you, it goes down 70%.
I'd rather a trans kid than a dead kid. I have a sign in the back of there, but
it's like, and people don't understand that, like, children are killing themselves because of their family not being supportive of who at that moment they feel they are. If you're going around saying your kids are gross, you're a garbage human, and fuck you.
Yeah.
And good night.
Fuck you. We are hashtag pro trans here. So if this is your first time listening, you can suck my metaphorical dick if you are a transphobe. Haha.
I feel like I would have a huge dick. Like, people would choke on it. Like that. I feel like if I had a dick, it would be massive. I would have to, like, drag it
just
around.
A club, like,
yeah, that's what I feel like. Like, so dislocate your jaw.
I would call him the Thor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like mine would work accurately.
You're like, size doesn't matter.
Okay. For the record, I do have big feet. You know what they say about big feet? Big hands.
Man.
I know. They're not even big. I do want to once again thank Stephanie Hurst, our VIP Patreon, for once again hanging in there. If you want access to all of our great Patreon content and a shout out, you can join as a VIP. But if you want access to our pre-drinks episodes, $5 and up. And if you want access to our newsletter and any printables and other text-based stuff we have on our Patreon, as well as our Discord Patreon private server, that's $2 and up.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you all next week.
See you next week.
Bye.